From the injury report moving forward, it was kind of shocking to me. There was 109, I think, charted offensive plays, and which really I think was like 113 or 112, something like that. But so obviously we got some guys coming off a Hawaii trip, you know, that you know, play a lot of snaps, and you know what, swinging from start to finish, and that's good to see. So. With that, you know, we held Austin Burke, flare-up of one of the things he had early in the year. Probably will be able to go.
Is that still his hip?
It's his hip, yeah. Bernard Blake, who I thought, you know, tried and did a good job, and I can see we broke a chair in here. Huh? Who was that? Can we? You know what I'm saying? I might have to. I hope that's not one of the big guys, but he will kind of be day to day. You know, obviously those toe things are tough, as we all know. So that's truly a day to day.
Is it kind of a turf toe type thing?
You know, I think that's kind of how Terry explained it, and I'm not quite sure what a turf toe is, to be honest with you. I like this. This is good. The medical term is a great toe sprain.
It's better than an average toe.
Well, it's not a high toe sprain, right?
Or a mediocre toe sprain. The injuries are even.
Nuvali will get in some work this week. Not sure that he'll be 100% ready, but he's ahead of, which would, you know, that'd be a huge bonus for us from a special team standpoint, obviously. Januska, still a concern. And as you guys are well aware, obviously we're very, you know, handling that to the, you know, the best part to make sure it's right for him. So until he gets cleared, he won't go today, won't go tomorrow. We'll get another look Wednesday to see where that's at. And there again, special teams, obviously. And you know, giving those guys a break in the back end, you know. Kevin Pierre, KPL, you know, sprained an ankle, was limping around a little bit during the game. I think you saw that, but you know, that's, I think, a normal, you know, wear and tear. And then in the O-line, Jordan Gregert will be limited as we move forward this week. And I think a lot of that has to do with, you know, here's a guy that's been here 120 years and has had, you know, some wear and tear on a knee and an ankle, and so, but I fully expect him to be able to go like Brandon Haynes did. You know, those guys are tough, man. And
you said limited. Does that mean you just kind of cut back his practice?
Cut back the reps. Moose will get more.
Games?
Yeah, Moose will get more reps, kind of like last week when we did that with Brandon. Same kind of deal there. And that may give us a little bit of an opportunity to get maybe Weston a few more guard reps, which he's been getting during the week, to see where Fred might be able to be, you know, from a center standpoint. So we'll make that, you know, those parts as we go through the week. And really, guys, for that time, you know, Tyrese still got a bad ankle, you know, played. Shaq Barrett, I thought, didn't look as he looked better than he'd looked the week before, you know, just running. Shaq Bell, can't say enough about him as a competitor. And, Charles, you know, went down, landed on that same knee, but came back and had a couple catches and ran, and so he's going to be sore, but I was really proud of him from that standpoint. So really, that's what it is from the injury standpoint. And you know, just as a side note on that, I think it's a credit for what they have done and what they've put in to be kind of this late in the season, and you know, really relatively. I mean, we're not real deep to begin with, but it's not like we've got a whole bunch of guys out. You know what I mean? And I think that as I've said, that credit goes to the investment they've made in Coach Kent and Rashad's program.
And really, of them, Januska's the only one that you sit here right now and tell us he's definitely not going to play. The rest of them
Well,
have a chance.
and yet we'll reevaluate on Wednesday
Okay.
based on, those tests.
So he's the least likely.
He's the least likely.
Is this not his second or third concussion he's had when he's here? Didn't he have one
Second,
last year?
second,
One last year.
second, yeah, second. And from a historical standpoint, there weren't any documented from high school, but I'm willing to bet, I'm not sure how many of those you document,
If he's had two
right?
here,
Yeah, so with that, I'll take any questions.
One question, I had the injury thing. You're different. A lot of coaches just kind of say injuries happen, it's part of the game. You're big on the things you guys have done in the off season prevented that help that. Has that always been something you've seen, and have you seen the results of that, or is that something that is kind of a new thing coming to light?
Well, I think I really, I credit, guys, there's a lot of preventative things that you do starting in January, going through the summer, to prepare yourself for the grind that is the season. And I really like the standpoint. I think they prepared themselves for the grind, number one. And number two, from a physiological standpoint, the way Coach Kent puts the program together from a specific, the training needed to play the game of football, if that makes sense. I think that there's a credit to that. It's a lot like, what we had done where I came from. You don't see a ton of, because of the preparation put in. And look, sometimes there's just injuries happen.
This is why you brought in Mike and Rashad.
And
they were your first two hires, pretty much, if I remember correctly.
absolutely right. And part of that is as a player, you have to want to go in there. It's not like when I was a player. In fact, I don't know if my old ball coach ever watches any of these, but I'm sure he's laughing right now if I make this statement. It's not like I sprinted into the weight room because I loved it. You know what I'm saying? And obviously my play probably was indicative of that. But I think these guys enjoy it, and because of the environment they're in, and then understanding the why.
You went for it 6 times on 4th down this past game. To you, at least to me, that expresses it was important to you. It was important. That game was important. Do you want them to take that same kind of approach these last 4 weeks, be it 1st down, 4th down, whatever?
Yeah, guys, I was, it's interesting. Really, where we're at. Okay, you've got this fine line. I mean, it's just so little, from good to great. Okay, and what is that? Okay, part of that is a attack mode mentality. Okay, but part of that also is there comes a time where you've got to put down on paper your beliefs. You got to put down on paper where you're at, and understanding take it from the faith, the thought, the belief, to tangible evidence. You see what I'm getting at? And what is it? What is that fine line? And it's time. I felt our guys did not back down one bit. Okay, I think that team that walked off the field was a good football team, that Boise team, and they knew this was a different outfit than they played the last couple years. Okay, the tangible result was not what we wanted, but I think we answered some questions in our mind, and that's good. Now, the next step, and part of that being aggressive like that, is to say, look, we're here. Let's go. All right. Obviously, I'd love to get that one down in there, when early in the game. But I think we kind of got most of the other ones till the last one, right? Which, was arguably a drop. We could have, hammered it in there. have an opportunity for another onside kick, and stranger things have happened, right?
Is there any other way, is there a better way for a coach to show his confidence in his team than in those situations when you tell your offense, yeah, go ahead, stay on the field?
Yeah. I think in the back of their minds, they know the trust I have in them. They know the belief I have in them. And I think, in some of those instances, especially a couple of those on our side of the field or, around that mid-area point, that they said, "Phew, well, guys, we better do this because he's putting it in our hands," right? And that's a great feeling. It's a great feeling.
You talked earlier this year about this team, just about after the Alabama, you can't hide anymore. Is that where sometimes some of the frustration can come, and that they're capable of it, you've seen it, and now you're still a second-year program, and there's all those growing pains you're going through, but having seen that early, that it makes it a little harder to accept when it's not at that level since then?
It's you go back to that fine line. Okay, so just for example, some tangible examples. We have clips in practice of guys stabbing the inside seam, then locating their eyes back to where they need to be. Okay, stabbing the inside seam and splitting, the vertical seam. Okay, where we did it. Now I've also said there's 5 plays usually in a game that define the game, right? Now when do those 5 show up? You just never know. Okay. So on those moments in those 5, what became critical plays, for some reason that detail, which they had done, which they had proven that they could do, we didn't. All right. You look at a couple of Capri's runs. Yeah, we got there, but if we take and strain that one little bit more, we probably get a bigger part of that linebacker, and now he's out in the open doing what he does. And not, rather than the 7 to 9 yard gain that maybe it was, now all of a sudden it could have been, or had the possibility of being 29 yards, right? So that margin from good to great is really, it's so small. And we're getting to that point. Guys, look, we don't run the fastest. I get it. Okay? But if we do the things that we had done and showed that we did, okay, they run a little kind of this double dig. They hit us on a 3rd down, a short little one. They threw it to Miller, who's one of my favorites, by the way, because he's a Montana guy. All right. But in practice, we've got the clip of the inside guy releasing it to the backer and moving right back outside. And in the corner, knowing there is no wheel or anything happening here, so I can squeeze that. I mean, visually saw it occur in practice, in walkthrough, the same route. Now, different formation, you know what I'm saying? But the combination part of the route read, and yet, and we did it another time and got him off the field on the same one. Yet, for some reason, that little margin on that one, we didn't, it's like we reverted. So, when I talk about the details, it's not that you haven't proven you can do it, because I saw it in practice and I saw it in a game. But that one time, right? That's the killer. So that strain, that and I'm not down on our guys. That's where the frustration is when you see it.
Do you like your guys physically, especially when we talk about the secondary? You like what they can do physically. Is it a recognition problem? Because like on that wheel route that they hit for the big one, it looked like Trent was slow to get there. Like, this is what it is.
Well, he actually was on it. It's the angle.
Mm-hmm.
Now that guy's a fast little guy. So what you might want to do is, look, this is the combination. You're in man, right? Shaq, I think it was Shaq, did a good job of squeezing that outside receiver. Well, now, just get over the top and beat him to that point. Now, he was trailing him. He knew his assignment. But now that little margin of, do I take this angle or that angle?
So it was more angle, not recognition.
No, yeah.
And what about on like the first touchdown pass? That guy broke wide open before KPL came over. Was it somebody lost their guy or somebody covering late?
You know, it was a case where we had to have a guy responsible for splitting a seam that they had done and did during the game. You know what I mean? And so when you hear my say it, you know, use the word frustration, and I don't know whether it's frustration, disappointment. It is obviously my teaching. I see it working, and then it's like, gosh darn it, you know, look, you've already done that. So repetition, attention to the detail, never knowing when that play is going to occur.
So it's consistency then is what really you're getting to.
That's what it is. And I would not feel as bad, probably, had I not seen him do it. Had I not seen him do the drill properly in practice to avoid those, right? And yet, to revert back to some things that were habits, you know? You create the detail to make each habit become an everyday event.
And you talked about them reverting. Do you ever feel like it's 2 steps forward, 3 steps back?
Yeah, it does. Sometimes it's like me trying to swim. I'm not very good at it. And it seems like sometimes I'm in place, my dog paddle's not great. Mr. Stetson was his name. So we had to go to the university pool there in Missoula. My mom had dragged me. And I remember getting pushed off the high dive. Figured out I better get to the side somehow. I learned how to swim pretty quick now. That, you know, there's some visuals there. But gosh, that was you know, in that drive to the university pool, guys, it was only about 9 minutes, you know, from where we lived. Boy, that was the longest 9 minutes ever, you know. The anticipation and knowing I was going to get shoved off the high dive. You figure survival at that point.
How much of this is also on your front seven? You didn't put a ton of pressure on.
We didn't, but I didn't really think we would, and here's why. What they do from a play action, they lock you up in the gaps pretty good and add an extra blocker. And then when they do throw it downfield, it's pretty much timing and quicks. And you have to be concerned with the read of the, you know, the dive option stuff. So I didn't think, you know, I bet you if you count true 6-man protection, drop back, 3rd and long, you know, where you're thinking some of that pressure. I think where we were not great at times, again, is lane integrity. When you're getting the pressure off the edges, like, you know, and bending that thing to step up, sometimes we got caught on the inside, 2 guys kind of in the same lane and not having the separation.
You mentioned lane integrity. That's going to be somewhat important this week.
Somewhat important. I think that's an understatement. But and yet it's very correctable. And in some of those cases, guys trying so hard that they're not necessarily it's not intelligent. That's not the word. The word is don't try to do too much. Do your job, right? And those good things will happen.
Well, Marty did say to us a couple weeks ago, when guys are playing and they stay within the integrity of the defense, it's where he said over and over again, that's when it works.
Yeah.
Is that where you guys find your problems defensively, is when guys are stepping out of their
And
the job assignment. I
yeah,
guess.
making more out of it than really what it is. And you know, at times, you know, we look kind of smothering, you know, and then it's just those ones that expose you on those, on the big ones. It's you just go, geez.
You talked a lot about seeing challenge to try to get these guys to learn their roles and stick to their role.
I wouldn't say unforeseen challenge. I would say, like I was getting at, there's a belief, there's an understanding, and they can visually see now, you know, that it works when simply do your job, for lack of a better term, right? And I hate to keep going, but that really is what it is. And, you know, if I'm on a assembly line, right, and my job is to make sure that the right screw is tight on the left side of the board, right? That's my job. But sometimes I worry about the left screw on the right side of the board. I lose focus on making sure that one's tight, right? So let's focus on our job and not try to maybe do too much, if that's fair to say.
Go back to Fajardo. What do you do to throw him off his game, because they'll have the same kind of quick passing game
Well,
and his ability to run.
And Wimberley, I mean, some of the weapons they have in the pass game, big guys, run fast. Not real excited about that, but you know, I think the discipline that the pistol makes you play with, you know, does it give me some concerns? Absolutely, because if there's one thing maybe, you know, when is that big play going to occur? It's that one time where you don't jam that seam, you don't take that angle, you don't take the extra step to go get that guy, just strain, you know, to go get that guy blocked, and you never know when it's going to happen. So from a discipline standpoint, it's going to be big.
Is that more dangerous with a quarterback like this, kind of like what Bales kept plays alive?
Yeah.
This is a quarterback that does that, so if that's that one play, he's a lot more likely to see it maybe than somebody that's a quick strike type deal.
No doubt about it. And his school didn't keeping plays alive, and has the ability with his feet to make the decision as well. If we don't keep it contained, can go get a chunk. And yeah.
And the pace of their offense too. I think they were up in the top 10 nationally in plays run per game. You hit 109 last week. I think they've gone over 90 3 or 4 times. How much does the tempo of their offense and that amount of wear on your defense?
It's
How
going
does
to be.
that concern you this week?
That's going to be big. You know, it's like I mean, obviously from a statistical standpoint, if somebody were to just look at the box score from the last one without looking at anything else, boy, that team dominated that team, you know. Yet it goes back, the one time that you don't, when you're talking stats, is when you don't execute on those 5 to 7 3 big plays, whatever they are. So, you know, we can't let them stay on the field, obviously.
So you battle them more with your offense again this week, like you did.
You know, and I didn't anticipate guys 109 plays, and I mean, I didn't, you know, I didn't, but I am pretty proud of the way that they kept them off. The problem was we kept getting it back too quick.
Jim, you talked a lot about the kind of the giving up the big play in the passing game and the Achilles heel. You've obviously known it. Is it one of those things that it's coming to light more because maybe you're doing some of the other things better? I mean, last year people didn't have to necessarily pass on you guys because you weren't all that great at stopping the run.
That's a
Now you
good
guys
point.
have become a really good run-stopping defense, and so as teams are breaking down film, they're looking at how to attack you. They're maybe putting a little more emphasis on beating you in the passing game.
I
mean,
think-
do you see that and sense that?
I think that's a great point. However, you guys all knew going to the media days, the strength of this league was probably quarterbacks, right? And not necessarily from a option run, but dual threat guys that could throw it. And you know, sometimes you kind of want to get a team into where they kind of get desperate and they got to throw it a bunch, right? You know, I hope that these guys decide to run it. No, you know.
But, I mean,
So.
like even going into this week, Shaq Barrett was talking about, you know, what you guys do against the pass is irrelevant if you can't stop a jive.
Yeah.
The jive, you know, and
That's
you
right.
guys stopped a jive, then
Yeah.
so then they went to the pass. Obviously.
Right, and created some explosives.
Yeah.
And yet we stopped some of those explosives, same route combinations. Where when we did exactly, you know what I'm saying? When you disrupt the inside seam, now get your eyes back. You know, when you know, are supposed to be in a press, split a vertical seam, you know, and yet you did that, and look what they did. You know what I'm getting at? So, you know, it goes back to practice, trust in yourself, you know, and not allowing exterior clutter get into doing my job.
Is that where that,
competition at every position, and Jason Oden has been getting more reps, and even Jake Schlager. Are you going to be making more personnel changes in the secondary, or are you going to stick with these guys?
Yeah, I you know, they're getting more and more. Part of it is proven to be able to do and do your job during practice. Okay, there is no magic. Oh, let's throw this guy in, see what happens, right? You know, there's a responsibility to prove that you are ready. Now, what your question is, which is very valid. Well, look, some of these guys have proven to not be able to do it during the game, right? Well, I see that, you know, and so, but they will get more. I mean, and they have gotten more incrementally as we move along, and then of course with injuries, you know, they're going to have to go in there.
I guess, is this an area of the team where there maybe is less competition for that playing time?
Yeah, I think.
I mean, if I look at your roster, I can look and go, that's probably where you're the thinnest as a team, is that secondary. Because you've got guys playing with ankle injuries, knee
Yeah.
injuries, because there just aren't, there's really nobody behind them.
Yeah, and when you breed competition, that usually helps you play a little better.
Right.
But I don't think in any way, you know, any form that the guys that are back there are using that as a reason or a crutch or an excuse. Rather, you know what, they have pride in themselves, and they feel as bad as anybody when something happens. The nature of the beast, if I go the wrong way, hi there. If I go the wrong way, do we got security on that door? No. Where is Stu? He's at lunch, right? Oh, there you are. Okay, gotcha. You like that, didn't you? That's right. You don't have to leave the building because we got pie right over here, right? But I don't see him as using that as an excuse. They have pride in their own performance, and yet at the DB spot, it's kind of like a kicker missing it, right? Everyone sees that, right? When you see the ball traveling a long way through the air, you know, everyone sees that. You know, you see that guy hitting a drive, and it goes like, boom. Boy, you think he's a great golfer, but the guy doesn't have a short game, right? So the wow plays really kind of at that position. You've got to have a short memory, man.
you've mentioned panic a couple times in the last couple of weeks. How do they overcome that?
You know, that's through the continued repetition of the long ball drills, and really when you work that part of the week. Just keep working on, seeing through a guy's hands, not going and looking back and running like this when the guy's out here. You've got to see his eyes locate, his hands locate. That's when you react. I think, you look at DeAndre's play in the Hawaii game, done perfectly, right? Even the one, that they hit him on the bootleg, boy, that was I'm going to give he was right there, right? That was a heck of a throw and catch, and those are going to happen. That, sometime in Deion Sanders' life, that happened. But, you know what? He honed his skills and knew exactly, when that is. And that's just continued work to the detail part of it and not panic.
Do you think that the panic, though, comes from being shell-shocked a little bit? You have given up 25 touchdown passes this year. And
Is that all?
Yeah, that's all. Idaho's giving up more, so.
Yeah, way to go, Vandals.
But, I mean, do you think that stinks in their mind? I mean, you talk, defensive backs have to have a short memory, but things keep happening over and over again. It's got to be in their mind somewhere.
No, I don't think any doubt about that. And, where the secret comes to, what am I going to do about it? Am I going to act hurt? Am I going to hide? It's a position you can't hide at. Yeah. Am I going to create an excuse of some form? Or am I going to face it and go get better? That can only be answered by each individual, and I'm helping them do that.
You've mentioned all the details that position takes. I mean, it's clear that it does take a lot of attention to detail to play at a high level. Do you think that you're asking these college kids too much, or that it's wearing on them a little bit as the season goes on?
I think I think the mental part of what has been exposed, I think probably is messing with their psyche. I don't think any doubt on that. Are you asking them too much? No, because every defense in the country does the same thing. So, Tyree's a freshman. That's not an excuse. DeAndre's got 3 more years. That's not an excuse. Really, Bernard Blake's only really true playing time has been this year. That's not an excuse. Shaq Bell, when he's been healthy, we've been able to kind of move him inside and has really helped us. We had to move him back outside, a little bit because of some of the injuries. I think he's playing really good. I'll be honest. So is part of it, Jason Oden, who got a lot of playing time last year? Not a lot, but he's still got 3 years. Now, how long is this going to affect their psyche? I don't know. I really don't. I do know that you face it in life. You face it, and you keep working on the things that can help you be successful, and you don't run and hide.
Conversely, then, do you look forward to the future without looking into the future?
Absolutely.
These young
No, guys, I've
grow together.
I've said it. I really the 2 safeties. I mean, yeah, they played. When Austin Gray went down, right? They ended up playing quite a bit, but they still have. I feel good about that.
Nevada comes in for a 4-game losing streak, but when you look at it, it's not like they've been blown out of any of the buildings.
In the buildings they played in.
Yeah. They've got 3 of their losses to the top 25 teams, but
Yeah.
they've got 3 weeks to get bowl eligible. They got to win all 3 of them. Does that make a team like that? They're kind of back against the wall. How much more dangerous are they?
Yeah, and I think, the fact they've been to 8 or 9 in a row or whatever it is, and they're used to it. Their seniors have a lot of pride, and I know Coach Polian well enough that this guy's a great football mind now. He does an outstanding job. So I'm sure when they sit there and evaluate loss at UCLA, battling till the end, going down and playing in Tallahassee, pretty good ball squad. You know, at Fresno,
Close line.
you know,
34-17 at Boise.
you're in it. Boise, very similar to us. I think, you know, I mean, they went up ahead, you know, cross-town or in-state rivalry, which I don't care. I mean, I saw up close and personal Bobcat and Grizzly games where a team was one end and they come play, or you take the Apple Cup and think about Jim Walden's days of beating Don James when they had no reason to beating them, right? You know, that you throw all records out. So, you know, their losses, they played good teams.
You talk about your team sometimes reverting to old ways, but it also not backing down. It seems like that's kind of the area where they haven't really reverted. They haven't played scared. They weren't against Alabama. They weren't against Boise State. Do you see that?
Yeah, I do. And so I guess that kind of goes back to, you know what, they've got a belief, they've got an understanding, and they have a faith. What's frustrating is, and for me, is I've seen them do it. I know how they feel. I know, you know, there's a different feeling in some of these losses than maybe I went through last year. You know what I'm getting at? Maybe there's a certain better level of expectation. You know, I feel bad for the fans. I feel bad for the people who really support the program, because I know how good, but I also know that span to being great. And it's time that you stamp that on something tangible, and that's a win, okay? So I'm not disappointed in where we're at from a and what they have done. And you look at the losses, which, you know, I'm not ready to evaluate exactly that right now as a total year-end deal, but I know how close we are, and it's just, I mean, it's that strain. You know what I mean? And they can see it. It's not like they're walking into a building and just, you know, the thing crumbled, you know, on them and they can't get out. They're in it, you know? So, yeah.
Is that somewhat typical of a second or third year when you're rebuilding a program? To be going through these types of things, I mean, most people would probably say maybe you're a year early almost to be hitting it, but to be going through that because you've got those bad habits, you've got, you know, you're changing a mindset, you're changing so many things, and there's just a lot mentally going on in the minds of the athletes playing the games.
You know what's hard, Kel, is probably what I put on myself from an expectation standpoint. How fast I want it to occur, and yet really, you know, I was talking to my mom, 92 years old, right? We're driving home, Jarrett and I were from the bus ride from I think it was Wyoming, you know, I think, okay, and it was really good, I think, for Jarrett to hear, and it was probably good for me to hear. And of course, we just had a pretty dominant win. And of course, I was lamenting on giving up the long run. I was lamenting on not getting we had a 3 and out. And my mother said, you know what, you'll never change. Because ever since you were little, it wasn't about all your wins. It was about the things you could have done better. And it really hit me like a frying pan in the face. And I think about even where I just stopped or where I was just at. It wasn't about the dominating way that we won games. It was about only being at 62% in third downs. You know, it was, I should have, maybe we could have done this better in preparation to get ready to go dominate an opponent on every play. And that's who I am. And I found that out. I probably knew it, but I can remember now coming back and having a 28-point game with 13 assists and missing a free throw and going out and worrying about, you know, how did I miss that free throw? Not getting the ball to somebody for 13 assists. And you see what I'm getting at? That's how I'm wired, and that's how I want our guys to know, look, feel good about where we're at or what you're doing and this and that, but let's go win that play, right?
Other things you are doing well, though, when we talked to the players over the summer, they talked about the family atmosphere in the locker room. And sometimes it's typical, especially when either the offense or the defense is struggling to kind of turn against each other. But every single player we've talked to, they've never blamed the other. They've never blamed the offense. They've never blamed the defense. They've taken it upon themselves. Do you see that?
I see that. No, I see a team that cares about each other. It doesn't matter whether you're a special teams guy, an offense or defense. I see that, and that's part of what you do. That's part of building a culture. I see some guys who really care about each other. I see some guys who have come out of a shell and really out of themselves and into a team, which really helps you as you move on in life. That's a good thing, no doubt about it. And I don't see guys, well, if you'd have done this, no. Your action speaks so loudly I can't hear what you say. And so anytime you start, what are your actions, right? It's really what it's about.
Is it no secret that coaching is one of the most stressful jobs out there? We saw John Foxman is going through some health troubles, Gary Kubiak last night. We might have even saw a little bit of this one through on Saturday with you, but most of the time when you're in here, when you're talking to us, you're laughing, you're joking, you're having a good time. How do you, being in your second year, how have you learned to balance the stress that this job brings?
You know, I wouldn't have it any other way. I want the ball when we need a shot at the end of the game. I don't know why. You know, I think I can make it. I know I can make it. And yet, I know as an educator, the one thing I can do is affect young men's lives in a positive way to help them be successful. I enjoy that part. There's nothing better than that call you get periodically from a guy 10, 15, 20 years. Those lessons, right? I also know you wake up on Sundays and you read the want ads and you're not qualified to do anything. Okay? So, I mean, do you see some of the requirements it takes? I mean, I can't sit here and tell you that I can answer one of those ads. So, but the stress is a big part of this profession. And I've seen it take its toll on a lot of great people. Some who have had to maybe step back and then get back in. Okay? Probably for a good reason, right? Because, you know, it's different today than it was. But that's self-pressure you put on yourself to move forward, to move a group of people forward, to move an organization forward, to move a university forward, to change the way people think. I want the ball.
Bill Urban Meyer, and
You know, I had a chance to visit with him
About that kind of thing.
yeah, and
Couldn't stay away from it.
and I think had a good chance to refocus, you know, and kind of, because it is, man, it's a pressure cooker, and there's people. Yeah, you can say it's entertainment, right? But it's people's passion, and I love that. You know, criticize me. I don't. That's great. That means you care, right? I think that's okay.
Now that you've told us you're Mr. Killjoy and can enjoy all the good things you see, can you reflect back on those offensive numbers you guys did put up against that Boise State defense?
Yeah.
Were you a little surprised to see how big they were?
And at the ease at which we did it, and yet, guys, we should have had 850. Yeah, I mean, look at the film, and
I mean, Garrett breaks Bradley Van Pelt's record.
with Bradley there.
With
Yeah.
Bradley there, yeah, exactly. But I mean, that was.
I hope he comes back.
Yeah.
No, but you know what? There's 4 plays
Right.
that Garrett would love to have back.
Yeah.
So, all right?
Yep.
Is that good?
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Weston, just where's this team at right now as far as you guys probably don't have the chance to win that division title now, or at least it need a lot of help. But you still got a lot to play for. Four games left, win 3 of them, you get to a bowl game. And most people would say a 12-point loss to Boise is nothing to really hang your head over. Where do you guys stand right now?
Like you said, you have a lot to play for right now. You got 4 games left. Still lots to play for, lots to hang your hat on. You know what we did against Boise. You know, we wish we could have had some plays back, and you know, but that's in the past. So we've got 4 games left. We're really looking forward to these next opportunities. We've got a big home game this coming weekend that we're really looking forward to.
Coach went for it 6 times on 4th down. Really put a lot of faith in what you guys could do offensively, and I think overall as a team. He was aggressive about that. Do you guys need to play that way these last 4 games, no matter the down or distance?
Yeah, I think so. You know, as an offensive lineman, you love going for it on 4th and short. And, you know, there's one I remember we didn't get that I wish we could add back. But yeah, I think you've got to have that aggressiveness, especially in our situation. You know, wanting to win out the rest of these games. So I like the aggressiveness. You know, I think that's something we need to keep continue in these next four games.
When a coach does that for you, what kind of confidence does that give an offense?
I guess big time confidence. You know, I actually try to make it a point if it's 4th and short to just stand out there instead of start walking to the sidelines, to try to, tell him that I want to stay out there, and hopefully he'll give us a play call that can get us a 4th down. But no, that shows us that he's got supreme confidence in us to convert and keep the offense on the field.
So you're the deciding factor in whether or not he goes.
Oh, definitely.
And for the whole team, I guess, confidence for the whole team, because he was obviously frustrated after the loss, and some people might perceive that as some guys under the bus, or he doesn't like he can't wait to have 2 or 3 more recruiting classes. Whatever they want to read into that, but then the actions on the field say otherwise, that he has a lot of confidence in the game.
Well, people are going to think whatever they want to think, but the guy that was just in here, one of the first things he told us when he got here 2 years ago or whatever was that he was going to treat the seniors at that time like they were his recruiting class. He's not one of those guys that was just waiting to get his guys in. We're his guys. My class is his guys, and he's going to put his confidence in us and treat us like family.
You guys are going to need a lot of momentum heading into these next 4 games, and obviously there's some good things that you can take away from the Boise game, but there's some things that you need to forget. How do you handle that this week in practice?
That's all football is having short memory and forgetting about mistakes. Yeah, there were some good things that we did in the game, and some things you want to work on, and that's what we have to do this week in practice. Is really look back at some things we want to take back, really work on that technique, whatever it may be, and really try to correct that. So when it comes to Saturday, those mistakes don't happen again.
Weston, from an offensive standpoint, you look at the numbers you guys put up. To do that against Boise State defense, there's got to be a little bit of pride in how far you guys have come to be putting up 600 and some yards, have a quarterback break Bradley Van Pelt's record for total offense in a game. Does that stuff register with you guys? And
Yeah.
Is there a sense of pride and look what we've been able to do given where we were?
Yeah, our first goal is to win a game. Okay, we didn't win a game, so we're disappointed about that. But we've got to keep producing like we have been. We had 600 some total yards. We take pride in that, and we want to continue doing that throughout these 4 games. Because if we continue to do that, that's going to give our team the best chance to win. So we've got to continue doing what we got to do to produce numbers like that, continue to protect Garrett, continue to open holes for our running backs so they can continue to make plays like that.
Well, and to do it against a Boise defense, you did it against one of the better defensive units, certainly in the Mountain West Conference.
Definitely.
Some people would argue in the West.
Yeah, no, it's the style that we've started to kind of develop is one where it's going to wear down the defense, and we had 109 total plays, and that's going to wear down a defense, and they had to rotate a lot. They were getting tired. We've just got to continue doing that. Work on our conditioning as well so we can stay in the game. Keep going, keep the momentum going, keep wearing those guys down so we can continue to produce numbers like we did.
What do you know about Nevada's defense, and how do you remain as productive against them?
Yeah, they've got good players across the board. It's facing any defense, you've got to watch your film, get our schemes down during the week. When it comes game time, make sure you got a hat on a hat. Communication's big time, especially up front. We've got to make sure we know where we're going, so everybody can get a hat on a hat and open holes for guys.
They do. I know they have a pretty good defensive line. We got some bits and pieces here, but they have been hit. Have you seen things in their defense that you think matches up well for you offensively?
They do have a good defensive lineman. I've been watching. He's got a really cool mullet. It's like bleach blonde mullet.
Jealous.
Yeah, and if I had some hair like that, I would definitely rock it the exact same way that guy does. So, they've got good players, and I think we like to have that challenge going into a game with good players to really step up and shut guys like that down. So we're gonna have to really watch a lot of film, study these guys, and make sure that we can go out and be physical and produce like we want to produce.
This is, Weston, where the real metal of this team is going to show up in these last 4 games, where you do kind of have a pretty set thing. You can only, you can maybe afford to lose one of them and still get to a bowl game, but you can't drop 2 of them. You've got to be pretty darn good in these last 4 games to reach your goal of playing in postseason.
Yeah. No, these next 4 games are crucial for us, and we understand that. We know what's at stake. We know where we want to be postseason-wise. So, it's going to be great 4 weeks. We're going to really get to work. I've said it many times, we work real hard during the week, and that's no different this week. We're going to get after it and watch a lot of film, practice hard, and get ready for this weekend against Nevada.
Coach talked a little bit about maybe some of the frustration that people saw boiling over this weekend is because you guys have shown what kind of team you can. You saw it at Alabama. You've seen glimpses of it, and now the frustrating part, he sees it in practice, is why you can't be that way all the time.
Yeah.
Is that true as a player too? Is that frustration sometimes there that you're just like, we did it right 9 times, but the one time it mattered, we blew it in the game?
Yeah, I think so. The way
As
we
opposed to last year, maybe.
Right. Well, I don't
A lot
even.
of things were different.
Last year, it's not the team it is this year, so let's not even talk about that. But the way we practice, we repeat so much. It's so much repetition. So, of course, when we make a mistake on something we repeated many times in practice, it's frustrating. So, but like I said, got to get back to practice, keep repeating it, so we can try to eliminate that mistake.
Talk a little bit about what you've seen for the last 4 games. You said 9 touchdowns against them. It seems like he's really just taking over that number 1 spot.
Yeah. Capri's been really good at making something out of nothing, I feel like. Up front, we've had some plays where there's a clear-cut hole that he hits full speed, makes a great play. Other times there's been some where we've had to stretch it. He sets up our blocks and then cuts behind us and makes a huge play. So he's been really good at finding holes, making a big play out of nothing. So it's been really impressive to see that from a young guy.
Is that just something that you're born with? You block in front of a lot of running backs, and some have that, some don't. Did you learn that, or is it just something he's got?
Well, I think there's, you practice it and work on it, and it's something that makes a good running back, obviously, since he's playing so well. So, yeah, I think that's maybe sometimes a rare thing that you don't see in a lot of guys that he has, and that makes him a special player.
We don't get to talk to him. How is he in the huddle?
Quiet. Everybody's quiet. We're all listening to Garrett. So I don't talk either. So once he comes in, we're all listening to get to play and go out. So.
Are you surprised that he's kind of taken over as the goal line back too? I mean, that probably the smallest.
Oh no, I don't think so. You can run in with a punter or a kicker on a fake field goal, and he's some scrawny dude scoring a touchdown. So it's up to us up front to open holes and get hat on a hat and be physical, and allow those guys to get in the end zone. So, whoever they put back there, we're willing to block for, and we're gonna play hard and try to get those guys in the end zone.
Back in August, did you see this coming? Did you think he'd make this kind of impact?
I didn't know who was going to be the big guy in the backfield. I knew we had, a good set of guys that would be able to contribute a lot, whether it be Woke, Donnell, or Capri. I think they've done a great job. No matter who gets thrown in there, there's confidence by, the team as well as coaching staff to have those guys in there and be able to do their job and be able to get the yardage we need.
Is this about as much depth as you've had at running back?
I feel like we've always had, a couple guys that have been able to step in since I've been here. This is probably the most, three. Yeah, but usually we've had, two guys that can come in and be able to produce a little bit.
What kind of luxury is it to have three?
Oh, it's nice because you keep them fresh. They're able to come in, and, I never know who's back there because it's either sucking wind or standing up at the line and doing something else. So, whoever's back there, it's like I said, that we have trust in them that they're going to do their job and do it well.
Weston, one final thing. Does Coach talk that he's been giving you a little bit more work at guard in practice for the chance to do that? How ready would you be to go in and play guard in a game if he decided to have you do that?
I have to be ready, so I don't have a choice in that. But, whatever I got to do to help the team, I know that sounds like, an answer that anybody would say, but these 4 games, it's my last 4 games of college, so, whatever I got to do to help the team win and help us get in the postseason is what I got to do.
Are you comfortable if you get moved to guard or tackle?
A little more
Bring in
reps.
somebody different?
Get a little more reps in practice. I think I'll be okay. But, like I said, wherever I got to go, I'll do it.
Thanks a lot, Weston.
You guys doing?
Well, so I know it didn't affect defense so much, but when Matt goes for it on 4th down 6 times, it's kind of an aggressive nature. He was going after something. Do you guys as a team really need to kind of adopt that mentality these last 4 games?
When that happens in a game, defense, we take that as coaches. There's a lot of faith in the offense to get it, but we have to always be prepared for any situations and sudden changes. So.
But it's just he aggressively. He's going to try to win the game.
Yeah.
He's going for it. Is that the approach that you guys need to take mentally as an entire team? You need to be aggressive these last 4 weeks. Down or distance doesn't matter.
Well, our focus is to win the game at the end of the day. Everything that we do, the preparation, all of it, it's all to win the game. So.
Your hair is looking a lot like Crockett's. Are you guys both growing it out for the bowl game?
Yeah, I've gotten that a lot. I'm actually growing it out for other reasons. But yeah, a lot of people have been mistaking the both of us lately.
So where's this team at right now, emotionally? You got that carrot still hanging in there. You lost some boys disappointing. Where's everybody? Where you at right
Emotionally, I think everyone's just looking forward to the next game. We know what we have to do. We're a big family. Everyone's encouraging each other. And I think over the year that you've seen everyone kind of grow as players and get better and take film study from previous games and learn from it. And I think as a unit, we're a lot stronger.
As a defensive front, what can you guys do to get some pressure on Fajardo? Because it's going to be a quick passing style. He's playing out of the pistol, so obviously, what do you guys need to do to disrupt him off his game?
Get pressure. We just have to do our jobs. Whenever they get into passing situations, keep our pass rush lanes, and just execute.
Talk about that a little bit more. I mean, obviously, you need to have some integrity in the way that you rush him because of his ability to run. How difficult is it to kind of contain him during a game?
If everyone's doing their job up front, then we can contain him. We can't be plain selfish. We all know that. We just have to go out there and execute and do our job and not try and do anything more.
But do you have to rush a passer who's a real true dual threat in a different manner than you would a pocket guy like you would rush Garrett?
Yeah, sometimes it varies. It takes just film study. Through film study, you learn what the O-line does for pass protection, and we start there at the start of the week and just go on.
The pistol kind of originated at that school. You watch film, I don't know how much you've been able to watch so far, but you see that they do that really well. It doesn't surprise you that David Points kind of invented it.
We just gonna film study, learn what they do, all their formations, and
How do they look
execute.
on film, I guess, is the bottom line.
What was that?
How do they look on film?
Good. They have a very capable offense, but as a defense, we just have to do our jobs and execute.
Okay, good. Thanks, Joe.
Yep.
Appreciate